So one of the questions I get asked most frequently, oddly enough, is how do you play music in Zoom? Now I get asked that question because I open all of my meetings with music playing. So I let everyone in from the waiting room. I have some music playing. We sit there listening to the music for a minute or two while I wait for everyone to arrive. And about a minute or so after the time that it was supposed to start, we turn off the music and then we get started. And also when people come back from breakout rooms, I've got music playing. And so that question comes up all the time. In fact, I host a free weekly virtual happy hour, a No More Bad Zoom virtual happy hour. And I can't think of a week since March 13th when I started hosting that when someone didn't ask in the comments, hey, how do you play music on Zoom? So I think it's a fine question, but the better question is, why do you play music on Zoom? Because the how is pretty easy to find. In fact, I'll put the details in the comments, but this is not hard to find. You go onto YouTube, you can learn how to play music on Zoom. But what I want to share with you today is why and when I use music. So have you ever had the experience that you arrive, a couple of minutes to the hour, the room is open and there's a handful of people already in there and they're already in a conversation, and you have a moment where you're worried, like, am I late? Did I like get the timing wrong? Because they're like deep into a conversation. Or maybe you've been a facilitator or a speaker and you've let everyone in from the waiting room, if you even had a waiting room on, and three people get into a conversation, and then within a few minutes maybe another 30 people suddenly arrive, but the three people in conversation, they don't get the hint. They keep going. They're still trying to wrap up their conversation, but not doing so very quickly. And now you're left in the awkward position to try to figure out how to step in and quiet them down in a polite but firm way in front of these 30 people who are now fishbowling on that private conversation. So I use music to avoid that problem and to create some sort of social etiquette that I think we all need to have in these online spaces. So I don't open up my room until 2 minutes before the hour. I used to not use waiting rooms when this pandemic hit, and I would show up 5 minutes early to get my room set up, and there'd be people already in there deep in a conversation. So I decided I'd show up 10 minutes early. Well, guess what? There were still 8 people there deep in a conversation. So now I use the waiting room, and I think of it as like a teacher, like I keep that room set up for me, and then when I'm ready, I open the door. So when I let them in, we have the music. They're not talking. They're all muted. It's automatic that upon entry, participants are always muted for the events that I run. And then when it's time, I can pull back the curtain and we can continue. Same thing with breakout rooms. When people are coming back from the breakout room, I play music for maybe the 30 seconds before the rooms close until maybe a few seconds after. And that's, again, to make sure that if people come back from those rooms early, they don't get deep into a conversation that I have to then somehow politely but firmly facilitate them out of. So you can always learn how to play music, but now you also know some ideas of when and why. All right, hope this has been helpful. I'll see you tomorrow.